Hey everyone, welcome to the Identity Love Podcast, episode 25. I'm Tracy Konani, and I am a life coach who helps folks who have lost themselves in their relationships and who have tried everything possible to try to improve their relationships, except for one last thing, and that is mastering self-love. And not just the surface level cute self-love that you see on Instagram and all of that, but the deeper, legit self-love that transforms you into the confident, strong, happy, healthy partner that you actually most want to be deep inside. And so that is what I help you do. This is what this podcast is all about. And so I just want to start this off by saying that one of the most miserable places that we can find ourselves in our relationships is to feel like we have no other choice or options. To feel like because our partner is acting a certain way, because the relationship's going a certain way, because this situation is happening right now, I have no choice but to feel this way and to be freaking out and to be acting this way that I hate acting like because I can't control this person, because my partner isn't changing, because the relationship isn't changing. And we feel so powerless and stuck and desperate. And the more that we act this way that we don't like acting, the more we don't like ourselves, the less attractive we feel, the more unworthy, unlovable we feel in our already tumultuous relationship, and we feel less self-love than ever before. And we feel like, how can our partner want to be with us? Their love must not be real because look at how awful we are. We can't even believe the words that they're saying, or we feel even more desperate to prove ourselves to them. It creates all this messiness inside of us when we feel like we are stuck, when the only choice is to change them, is to adjust the relationship in order for us to then calm down and be a version of ourselves that we actually like being. And this is so frustrating, right? Especially when we are trying to actually learn this self-love thing. It is so hard to feel love towards ourselves when we look at who we are being in our relationships and we think, that's so unattractive and crazy. Why am I like this? And I am saying this because, first off, this is the state in which a lot of my clients come to me at. They are desperate. They are just like, I want to learn self-love, but I feel so unattractive as far as the way that I am acting. I feel like they are so much better than me. How do I get out of the situation? And also because I myself have been deep in this in many of my own relationships, and I know this very well. And so I first want to say that I know it feels like we're doomed, and I know that in the moment it feels like we have no other choice. All the emotions are coming in. We feel like we have to feel this way. There's no other way to feel. We are doomed. Our partner's doing this. We are consumed by the situation and by our own emotions. And I just want to tell you that there always is another choice, and that this practice of seeing that there is another choice is going to help guide you and bring you back to yourself in such a powerful way. So I really want you to think about this and ask yourself this question and take this question seriously. This is the answer to everything. This question will change your dynamic in your relationship. So one of the things that I have realized from working with people who start off like this, and in myself when I was going through this, is that when I ask, who do you want to be in your relationship, right? Who do you actually want to be in your relationship? The way that we tend to answer this question is that our brains immediately start thinking about our partner. I would ask, who do you actually want to be? How do you want to be in this situation? And the answer would be, well, I'm not sure because it depends on how my partner is reacting to me. It depends on how my partner would feel if I acted a certain way. It depends because I'm not sure how my partner our minds start to say, well, I don't know how I actually want to be in my relationship because it depends on how my partner will react to me. And again, I know this so well because this was my life for years and years and years. And I noticed that when I started to ask myself, wait a minute, how do you, just you want to act? Not him, not your partner, not trying to control the situation or change how they're being or affect them or whatever. Let go of the thought of trying to affect your partner. Do you know who you would want to be, yourself, in the situation that you are in your relationship? Do you know how you would actually prefer to be feeling and acting and behaving and being despite whatever is going on, right? Despite all the things that we don't have full control over. If you were to focus on the one thing that you do have full control over, which is yourself, do you know how you would prefer to show up for this situation without changing your partner, without trying to control the situation? And so in the beginning, this can often feel really hard and confusing because for so many years or months or whatever the timeline is, we have been defaulting as a habit to immediately think about what our partner wants, right? So this is something you can think about that will help to bring you back into the practice of thinking about yourself and your own preferences and your own wants of who you want to be in your relationship. So, like I said, in the moment, it feels like we have no choice because we are overcome with the emotions. But if you were to take a moment to kind of step up and outside of your body and to see yourself from this third person view where you are watching yourself, how you are acting, how you are behaving, how you are showing up in your life, in your relationship, you are going to be able to watch and get a new perspective, which will then lead you to be able to see that you are not stuck, that you actually do have a preferred way of being just for yourself. And so this is kind of funny. I remember being a kid. I was probably like 5 years old or something. And I was in the middle of throwing a tantrum on the floor, like rubbing my arms and legs into the carpet, giving myself rug burns, screaming. I, for some reason, just wanted my mom to pay attention to me. This was probably around the time that my middle sister was born. And so she wasn't giving me attention, and I was just being this big brat and screaming, watch, 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 just crying and screaming, watch, 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 over and over again. And I remember this one situation so clearly because it is the first time that I had this dawning of awareness within myself where for 1 second, instead of being completely consumed by my emotions and what my mom wasn't doing and whatever I wanted, and I saw myself from a third person view. I saw myself from the outside, me lying on the ground, rubbing my legs up and down like a dying cucaracha and screaming, watch, 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 watch. And suddenly I felt confused about what the hell I was doing. I was thinking, what was I screaming watch for? Did I mean like a wristwatch? And if I was telling her to watch me, if she came over and watched me right now, would I want her to be watching this, me here throwing a tantrum? I couldn't even remember what I originally wanted her to stop and watch me do. I felt so confused as far as why was I even crying again? Why am I acting like this for? And so that was a very interesting experience for me. And I have had similar experiences while being in the middle of the throes of emotion and preoccupation with boyfriends, of me just being so overcome with emotion. I'm really wanting to text back after a fight. I'm really feeling like I want to go and say something to him or be needy towards my partner or do something that I know I'm going to regret later. And then I take a moment to step outside my body and see myself from the third person and see myself standing there holding my phone, pacing back and forth in my bedroom when nothing is actually going wrong in my near vicinity, right? It's all just this drama in my head. Me walking around, spending my free time preoccupied, worrying, just trying to distract myself with procrastination and social media and stupid things until the next time I was going to see him. Me just acting in all these ways where if I was a character in a show, I would say, what is she doing? Why is she acting like that? Why is she doing this? And I would watch myself go through my day, spending all this time and energy and emotions on my relationship and my partner and not doing the things that I knew I actually wanted to see myself doing. Me going out and doing the artistic pursuits that I always wanted to do. Me going and being somebody who is happy and healthy and thriving in her own way, who doesn't have to depend on her partner. I wanted to see something different. And so by doing this, I realized that even though I thought that this was the right path for so long, that it was the right path for me to just be so preoccupied with my relationship, it took me to see myself from the third person as if watching myself in a show, being the character in a show and watching myself from afar, to see that this isn't what I wanted for myself. This is not what I wanted to see myself doing. And so I thought, okay, if this is not what I want to see myself doing, and this isn't the right thing, then what would be the right thing? What is a thing that I would want to see myself doing? Who would I actually want to be being in my relationship? So remember, a lot of this is about letting go of trying to affect your partner. It is letting go of worrying about, well, what will my partner think if I act this way? How is this going to benefit the relationship? It is letting go and just focusing on what you want to see yourself doing, thinking, feeling, being in the face of all these things that are happening outside of yourself. Focusing on directing your own character in this show that is your life, right? You can't fully direct the show, but you can direct yourself, the character, the person who is going through the things that are happening in the show. And so think of a certain situation in your relationship where you feel the most out of control. In a past relationship, for me, it was when my partner and I would have a big fight and he would leave the apartment and I would immediately start to freak out. I would forget how angry I was. I would forget how much I wanted to make a point about whatever it is that he did. And I would fall apart. I'd freak out because I didn't know where he was going. I didn't know when he was going to come back. I didn't know who he was going to go see, what he was going to go do, what was happening with ourselves. And that completely consumed me. And I would immediately pick up my phone and start texting, calling, apologizing, begging for him to come back. All these things that made me feel so out of control. And I'd be a complete mess. I would barely get through my life. I would be just consumed with seeing, did he text back? What is he doing? I have to go find him right now. And when I saw myself from the third person perspective, I thought, wow, you know what? No, this keeps happening over and over and over again. And this isn't changing anything in the relationship for the better. And it's definitely not changing anything within myself and my own self-relationship and my own self-love for the better. And so I had to stop and think in the middle of all the turmoil and say, okay, even though I cannot fathom being any different right now, even though this feels like this is the only way I can be at the moment, if I were to suspend my disbelief, to think outside the box, to give myself any possibility of who I could be in this situation, what version of myself would I most want to be? So if I stop trying to change him and figure out where he is and figure out where we are in the relationship and just focused on me in this moment, who would I most want to be? If you've been listening to my podcast long enough, you've heard me talk about muses, about the people that you are inspired by, cartoon characters, real people in your life, movie characters, pop stars, anybody. Doesn't have to be a famous person. Anybody in your life who you feel inspired by, who you've always felt inspired by without anybody telling you that you should feel inspired by them, right? These muses are guides to our true selves. And so I would think about my muses, and I want you to think about your muses. How would they act in this situation? How would they act? Because usually they're going to be acting in ways that we admire, that we wish we could be more like, that are ways that feel attractive and better and more uplifting and like self-love to us. And in my case, I was always into the action hero babes, like the Catwoman, Angelina Jolie types, and Miss Frizzle, who always had her own vibrant sense of self and life. And I thought, I'm like, they would never be doing this. They wouldn't be falling apart the moment their boyfriend left in a huff. They wouldn't be completely being a mess if they were being ignored and he wasn't responding. They would be strong enough and fortified enough and have enough self-love and respect and courage to handle the situation with grace and poise and strength and self-awareness and to carry on with their lives and let it be its own thing, separate from what's going on with whatever is outside of yourself. I realized that I would want to see myself when he goes and closes that door in a huff. I would want to just sit there, feel upset that we're fighting, breathe, and then decide, okay, we're fighting right now. This is what it is. I do not want to go after him. I do not want to start apologizing about stuff because I know I don't actually feel that way. I feel conflicted. We were fighting about something that meant something to me. I don't want to automatically forgive him. I don't want to go crawling back after him, begging for him to come back to me. I want to be able to hold my own. I want to be able to have enough fortitude and enough of my own life and self-love within myself to then go forth and keep living my life in the way that I want to keep caring for myself, to keep doing things. So if he comes back, if he doesn't come back, I'm just going to be taking care of myself until we figure out what's going on until then. And when I told myself that that is what I would most love to be in my relationship, that felt like saying, oh my God, I wish I could sprout wings and fly and just be a unicorn. It felt like something so outside of my current reality. But that is okay because I needed to at least know that there is a second option, that there is something that I could put all my focus and my control on instead of him, because putting all my focus and control on him makes me act in ways that make me not love myself, make me feel unattracted to who I am being. It takes away from my own self-respect and self-love. So knowing that there is an alternate way that I wanted to be and to have a clear picture of that and to imagine myself being able to do that, it really gave me hope and a vision and a new goal in this really dark, hopeless situation. Because before I felt so hopeless and desperate and dark because all of my eggs were in his basket. It was all about where I need to change him and figure out what's going on with us. I felt so helpless and hopeless. When I saw that if I could be more of who I wanted to be, if I could start rearranging my life and changing myself and growing myself in a new direction and being in a new dynamic in my relationship, I can at least show up in a way that I feel proud being in these tough situations in which I don't have full control over anything else but myself. And similarly, in my own current relationship right now, when he had to work for long periods of time or he had to travel, I would automatically fall apart and feel like I don't know who I am. I don't know how to function. I feel really needy. I decided I want to have my own life going on. I don't want to be constantly checking for an email or a text or sitting around just trying to keep myself busy with silly things until he comes back and then realizing I didn't do anything to benefit myself. I had just been thinking about him nonstop and putting my whole life on hold until we're together again. I didn't want any of that. Who would I actually want to be for myself without trying to change the situation or change him? I said the same thing. I want to hold my own. I want to be okay. I want to have my own life, my own projects going on. I want to be living in a way that I feel attracted to myself, that I am caring for myself, that I am expressing myself in ways that I already feel seen and like I'm providing for myself. So by the time that we meet up again, I am whole. I am not on empty. I am not feeling so unattracted to who I am being. And so this question is what I began to practice in every situation, big or small, whether it's taking out the trash, whether he said something and I'm not sure how I feel about it, whether we're going through a big fight, whether something really stressful is happening. I began to, instead of thinking, oh my God, what is this going to mean for us and him? I started thinking, who do I most want to be in this situation for myself? Who would I most be proud to be? And then I began redirecting my energy and efforts and time and energy into figuring out how to start to become more of this person. Because as humans, we are able to grow and change ourselves. Just because I was acting this way and feeling this needy wasn't because it's who I truly am inside. It is because of the way I had been living. It's because I had been neglecting myself, ignoring myself, not expanding myself for myself. I had just been living for my relationship, for pleasing someone else. And so this is what I help clients do, is they tell me, we figure out who do they want to be in the relationship? How are they envisioning being their own self, mastering their own grace and self-love and fortitude in the relationship, while also being loving and present when they want to be for their partner? How do they see themselves going through the relationship in a way that makes them feel proud of who they are, that makes them feel that they like who they are, that they feel inspired? We look at their muses. We look at how other people that they admire would be in this relationship, how they would handle it differently. And then I help transform them into being more of that person. I have the coaching tools. I have the know-how to transform and change yourself from the inside out so you can become more of this person that you most want to be, the partner you most want to be in your relationship. So then you can come into this relationship in a whole new dynamic. And time after time again, they have gone through huge changes where either they heal the relationship becomes healthier. They're showing up in a way that is so much more vibrant and healthy for their partner, and their relationship flourishes. Or they finally have enough self-love and respect to have the strength and the inspiration to leave the relationship that wasn't working for them, that was never going to work, that was unhealthy for them, and that they were in denial about all this time and trying to fix it. And then they go and feel so much better. They become more of their own self, and they are finding healthier, happier, much more aligned love in their life than ever before. It's amazing. That's the same transformation I went through, and this is possible for you. It doesn't matter how deep in a dark hole you are. Like I said, I started just struggling. I would fall apart. I felt so out of control. There is always a better way to do this. I can give you all the support and guidance and the powerful transformation that you know that you need for yourself in your relationship and in your life. But either way, being able to ask yourself and to practice asking and bringing into your life this question of who do you want to be for yourself in your relationship, in any situation in your life, not only romantic relationships, platonic relationships, any kind of relationship. Who do you most want to be for this? And the more clear that you are on the picture of who you most want to be, and the more that you guide yourself towards that and transforming yourself into that version of yourself, that is the most powerful habit you can have, because you are no longer having a goal and a vision that is based on somebody else, something out of your control that will then make you desperate and crazy to try to control. And you feel like you can't get there unless you change this person. It is so much more sanity making and inner peace making and self-loving to know who you want to be in your relationship for yourself without changing anything else, but where you put your focus and what vision you have for yourself. All right, that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are interested in working with me and having a full transformation in your life and relationships, send me a DM. I can give you a free consult and we can talk about what is possible and if we are a good fit for each other. And until then, have a good week. Ask yourself who you most want to be, and I will talk to you on the next episode. All right, everyone. Bye.